Hello folks, welcome back to the channel, and have I got a treat for you today. This is a Scaleauto Mitsubishi EVO V, and it's four-wheel drive. How have they done that? And will it be enough to break the lap record? Let's find out. This Tommy Mackinnon EVO V looks fantastic, doesn't it? Now Scaleauto did these in two colours. They did it in the red and the white, obviously with the Tommy Mackinnon stripes on it, depicting that it is that special edition. When in actual fact this is the actual rally car that the special edition was based off of. Looks great, doesn't it? I just love the way those wheels fill those wide arches. The stance on it looks fantastic. All the details are there as we would expect. We've got the... I'd like to see the intercooler in the front there as an actual separate thing. It's just a sticker on this car, but this car isn't so much about the details of the body. This one really is about what's underneath. We've got Tommy Mackinnon and his co-driver inside there. I can see a spare wheel inside, so we've got a reasonable interior. I can actually see the rear suspension towers there in the back, so the interior is quite good. But and the two aerials on the roof, they come in a separate packet, which I haven't installed to the car. So that's why there's two holes in the roof there. I'll probably install those at a later date. But let's have a look underneath. Well, we've got another serious bit of kit on our hands here. Right, let's start at the back. So, unlike most slot cars we've looked at, that exhaust detail is separate to the chassis. It's actually on the body. Right, what have we got then? So we've got a body mount there and a body mount here. We've got another one with a separate drivetrain assembly attaching here, here, here and here by the looks of it. Long can motor, nice to see some specs on this one. 18,000 RPM at 12 volts. I don't actually know what all that means. Maybe some of you in the comments do and you can tell me. We've got 10mm wide rear tyres and 8mm wide front tyres. I think these are aluminium wheels. We'll have a look at those when we get inside. And some of you may be able to see how this is four-wheel drive, but we'll have a bit more look at that when we get inside. Then this is quite interesting, how there's some cutouts in the main part of the chassis here. That's obviously designed to give some form of flex to this area. I'm not really sure what benefit that gives. There's obviously a reason they've done it. And we've got more cutouts here, and here I guess this is probably for a digital sensor to go through there should you want to do that. And then we've got our red guide. Now Scaleauto's spare parts are massive, so there's I don't know how many different guides you can get, but it's an extensive catalogue of spare parts, so not something I can go into in this video. And then we've got our magnet here. So this is an angle winder assembly on the back here. Doesn't look like there's another position for the magnet. Looks like that's where it is, right under the rear axle, which is quite a good place for it. Certainly a good place to keep it stuck to the track. So let's take a look inside. Okay, there it is then. How they've made it four-wheel drive. So we've just got a band that's running from the rear axle to the front axle. Some companies do it with a motor, an inline motor that has an output shaft at the front as well as the back, but this tends to be a bit more common, and makes it very easy to convert back to two-wheel drive should you want to. Starting at the back then, so we've got, I don't think they're actually metal gears. They look to be plastic to me, and the spur gears got cutouts in it. Now what I'm noticing here is that there's been what appears to be great lengths to make this lighter weight. Those cutouts are a good example of it. And look at all these cutouts around the underside of the interior. The only thing I can think they're there for is to make it lighter. I can't see any other reason why they would be there. Okay, so we got our motor assembly here. Looks like it's adjustable in some ways, where you can have a different kind of front mount for different bodies, probably different chassis. That unscrews by the looks of it. Motor here, nice long can motor. They are aluminium wheels as I expected. We've got, that's a different way of doing it. So that bush there is there to stop the axle going left to right. Often we see it this side, so to have it on its own thing there is quite nice. Looks like we've got kind of pillow ball type bushes in there. Moving forward, we've got Allen grub screws there, so we can adjust the height of the front axle. Looks like we can fit them to there as well if we want that axle to tip a bit more. Not much room though for a digital chip should you want to fit one. I suppose you could find somewhere you'd probably put your LED in there. Front guide assembly with a bolt-on guide pivot point. And the front wheels could actually be, I'll have to check that, I'm not sure whether they're aluminium. Let's try and turn them round and have a look. They look like they're probably plastic, the front wheels, rather than aluminium. And the other thing I've noticed is the incredible amount of flex in this chassis. Check that out. Really flexible. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Some of you a bit more experienced might be able to tell me that, but there's obviously a reason they've done it, and that probably is why all these cutouts were in that we noticed in the underside to just help that flex a bit more. But that's incredible, those. Underside of the interior, we've mentioned this here, all these cutouts. Like I say, the only reason I think they can be there for is to just make it that little bit lighter. Perhaps some other people can tell me otherwise. Which now makes me feel a bit bad about saying about that intercooler just being a printing on there, because it's obviously been designed to make it quite lightweight. We've got some tabs here that the chassis fixes to. There's holes there as well on the side. Not really sure what they're for. And then we've got our body mounts there and there. That's it really. Let's get it on the track and see what it can do. Initial thoughts then. Very planted and very smooth, but not very playful. I could get a bit of slip on the back end, but that usually would result in it going too far and coming off the track. Controlled sliding isn't really a thing with this one. It's sort of grip, or if the back end starts to come out, you're hopefully going to be all right. But yeah, very smooth car. I think it will perform quite well time-wise. It feels quite fast. Something I didn't mention in the detailed shots was that the guide is sprung-loaded left to right and up and down. But yeah, let's see where it places on that leaderboard. Take back what I said about this not being that playful. The more I used it, the more fun it became, and the more I was able to control slides. But that's not the quickest way around the track. The quickest way around the track is to keep it as straight as possible. And that's where it became quite frustrating, because the more you pushed it, the more it started to slide out, and it would lose a lot of time in doing that. So yeah, really crucial to keep this one straight. I think that's fair to say of any slot car, but it seemed more, I don't know, more tricky on this one, or just more crucial to keep it straight. But it performed well, didn't it? 429. That puts it at 3rd place on the leaderboard, which is good. So yeah, quick car this one. Quick car and a bit of a grower if you start to get one. So I might try some more Scaleauto stuff. Something a bit more low and wide might be quite interesting. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. More coming along soon, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.